Hello, Facebook and YouTube. This is the WCBB5 fan, and it's time for week 2 of the games that will be televised in local media markets. Last week we talked about the NFL in week 1, so this week we're going to talk about week 2. Now, before we get to the Sunday games, I will tell you this: beginning this week, Amazon Prime will be the exclusive broadcaster for Thursday Night Football. Which for this week, that will feature two teams in the AFC West between the Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. So yeah. The announcers for Amazon Prime will be Al Michaels, and Kirk Herbstreit will be on the call for every Thursday Night Football game, along with Richard Sherman. So yeah. And for this week now, and also another thing, stations are required in the local media markets of the participating teams are required by contract to broadcast them over the air. So yeah, that means you have to get it, like, even if you have over the air if you have like an outdoor and indoor antenna. No, I'm not talking about DirecTV or dish antennas. I'm talking about like over the air TV antennas. So yeah. So for each Thursday game, I will talk, except the Thanksgiving night game and the previous week. I'll tell you which local stations are going to show the game. So for the Chargers, for those of you that live in the LA media market, you will get the Thursday Night Football game on KTTV Fox 11 in LA. And for those of you that live in the Kansas City media market, you will get it on KSHB NBC 41. So yeah. Now referees. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the referee. The referee for the Thursday night game will be John Hussey. So yeah. Now let's begin the Thursday night now let's begin the Sunday afternoon games. CBS has the doubleheader this week, so it will go first. So I'm going to start with the CBS games. Let's start with the early games. First game we've got is the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's at Pittsburgh. That game will be called by Iron Eagle Charles Davis and Evan Washburn. The referee for that game is Land Clark, and that is the primary game in the early window. Next up is the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens. That game will be called by Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins, and the referee for that game is Adrian Hill. And the media markets you will get this game on your local CBS station if you live in the following media markets. Any media market in Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, Panama City, Florida, Orlando, Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida, Fort Myers, Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida, Miami, Florida, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Louisville, Kentucky, and Honolulu, Hawaii as well, by the way. Next up, we've got the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns. That game will be called by Spiro Ditas, Jay Feely, and let me see if there's a sideline reporter for that game. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So the referee for that game will be Trey Blake, and the media markets you'll get it in will be in the following: New York City, New York, Cleveland, Ohio, Albany, New York, Syracuse, New York, Toledo, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, and there was another one that starts with a C. I'm going to look that up in a minute. Columbus. Oh yeah, Columbus. Oh yeah. So yeah, that media market will get it as well. And anyway, and the last game, and next up is the Indianapolis Colts at the Jacksonville Jaguars. That game will be called by Tom McCarthy and Tiki Barber. The referee for that game will be Alex Kemp, and the media market, and you will get this game on your local CBS station if you live in the following media markets: Jacksonville, Florida, Tallahassee, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, Indianapolis, Indiana, South Bend, Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Evansville, Indiana, and Springfield, Illinois. Excuse me. So yeah, now we're going to talk about the late games on CBS. First up, the featured game of the week, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Dallas Cowboys. That game will be called by Jim Nance, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson. The referee for this game will be Brad Allen, and that is the primary game of the week. Next up, we've got the Arizona Cardinals at the Las Vegas Raiders. That game will be called by Greg Gumbel, Adam Archuleta, and AJ Ross. And then the referee for that game is Clete Blakeman, and you will get this game if you live in the following media markets: Houston, Texas; Kansas City, Missouri; Topeka, Kansas; Wichita, Kansas; Omaha, Nebraska; Sioux Falls, South Dakota; Billings, Montana. In fact, anywhere in Montana, looks like. Anywhere in Colorado, anywhere in New Mexico, anywhere in Utah, anywhere in Wyoming. If you live east, anywhere in Idaho except Boise. Seattle, Washington, and that's it. I think. Yeah, I think that's it. Actually, I'm sorry. I gave that. That was the game for the Houston Texans at the Denver Broncos. My mistake. I made a total mistake about that. So that was the Houston. So that game, those were the media markets I just listed for the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos, which will be called by Andrew Catalon, James Lofton, and Cherie Bruce, I believe. Let me check here. Actually, no, it's not going to be called. I don't think there is a sideline report for that one, but we'll see. I could be wrong though. Yeah, but that game was for the Houston Texans. Those were the media markets for the Houston Texans and Denver Broncos. I apologize about that. At the media mark, the referee for that game is Carl Cheffers. And now we'll talk about the Arizona Cardinals and Las Vegas Raiders. I haven't said so. It's Greg Gumbel, Adam Archuleta, and AJ Ross. And the referee for that game, again, if I haven't said so, is Clete Blakeman. You'll get this game if you live in the following media markets: Tacoma, Washington; Eugene, Oregon; San Francisco, California; Sacramento, California; Fresno, California; Bakersfield, California. What's that? Santa Barbara, California; not Los Angeles, excuse me. San Diego, California; anywhere in Nevada. I mean, any of the media markets in Nevada; Phoenix, and any of the media markets in Arizona. So yeah. So now I got that information correct. That's it for the Fox games. Now that's it for the CBS games. Now let's talk about the Fox games. Now let's talk. So Fox has regional coverage. So and the featured game will be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the New Orleans Saints. That's going to be out in New Orleans. That game will be called by Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, and Pam Oliver. Excuse me. No, Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews. I'm sorry, my bad. The referee for that game is Sean Hockley, and that's of course the primary media market, the primary game. So you'll get that. Most of you will get that. Next up, we've got the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants. That game will be called by that game will be called by Joe Davis, Daryl Johnston, and Pam Oliver. And the referee for that game will be Land Clark. No, not Land Clark. Excuse me. I talked. He's doing the Steelers game. Ron Torber. Sorry about that. Anyway, and the media markets that will be carrying where the look, and you will get this game on Fox if you live in the following media markets. Galveston, South Carolina. I think it's Galveston. I could be wrong though. It says GBL. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina; Charleston, South Carolina; Columbia, South Carolina; Charlotte, North Carolina; Raleigh, North Carolina; Greenville, North Carolina; and Greensboro, North Carolina. And you'll also get it if you live in these media markets as well: Philadelphia, Pennsylvania; Scranton, Pennsylvania; New York City, New York; Hartford, Connecticut; Buffalo, New York; Rochester, New York; Syracuse, New York; Albany, New York; and Burlington, Vermont. Next up, we've got the Washington Commanders at the Detroit Lions. That game will be called by Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake. The referee for that game will be, who is it? It is Bill Vinovich. And you will get this game if you live in the following media markets: Bismarck, anywhere in North Dakota; Duluth, Minnesota; Grand Rapids, Michigan; Detroit, Michigan; Flat Rock, Michigan, um, Toledo, Ohio, South Bend, Indiana, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Roanoke, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, and Norfolk, Virginia. And then, so next up is the Atlanta Falcons and the defending champion Los Angeles Rams. That game will be called by Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman. I'm sorry, yeah, Laura Oakman will be the sideline reporter for the game. And the referee for this game will be Clay Martin, and you will get this game if you live in the following media markets: Los Angeles, California; Bakersfield, California; Santa Barbara, California; San Diego, California; Miami, Florida; Jacksonville, Florida; Savannah, Georgia; Augusta, Georgia; Atlanta, Georgia; Macon City, Georgia; Columbia, Georgia; Indianapolis, Indiana; Cleveland, Ohio; Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania; and Boston, Massachusetts. And finally, last but not least, we got the Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. That game will be called by Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink. The referee for that game will be Brad Rogers. And you will get this game if you live in the following media markets: anywhere in Alaska or Hawaii, as well as Washington and Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, along with Reno, Nevada, San Francisco, California, Sacramento, California, and Fresno, California. And so that's it for the Sunday game. Before we go, I am going to talk about one of the two Monday night games because it's on ESPN. It's the Tennessee Titans and the Buffalo Bills. That'll be called by Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, and Dan Orlovsky. And the referee for that game will be Sean Smith. And for those of you that live in Tennessee, you will get this game on WZTV Fox 17 in Nashville. For those of you who live in Buffalo, you will get this game on GRZ NBC2 Buffalo. So yeah, so thank you. So that is the NFL Week 2 broadcast schedule, and as well as referees and locations where you'll get them. Thank you all for watching. Have a great week.